Hey guys, it's Noah. I just wanted to pop in to make a 3-week post-op stage 1 phalloplasty update. So as of yesterday, I was 3 weeks post-op from my stage 1 with Dr. Maud Belanger in Montreal, Quebec. I'm feeling pretty good. The last video I think I made was at 9 days post-op, so I didn't have a 2-week update, but not a whole lot was happening. I've just been resting at home. I'm staying with my mom while I'm recovering, so I've really just been trying to take it easy as much as I can, and I've been told to air dry my wounds as much as I can, so I've been spending most of my days just spread eagle resting. So I figured I would just follow up on a couple of the themes that I discussed in my 9-day update. So firstly, with regards to pain, I have no pain. I haven't been taking any painkillers since 9 days post-op, I think, since I left the center. And even then I was just taking Tylenol. So I had maybe two days where I was taking a couple of painkillers plus Tylenol. And then for the next week I only took Tylenol. And since I left 10 days ago, I suppose. Yeah, since I left about 10 days ago from the center, I haven't been taking anything at all, so no Tylenol, nothing. I did take Tylenol, I think, a couple of times when I had like a longer drive, because I went like up to Montreal to the center. So after those kind of like, when I kind of overdid it, I took a couple of Tylenols because I did feel some soreness around the scrotoplasty. I have a little bit of discomfort. Like I said, with the scrotoplasty, it's a bit uncomfortable. It's just a bit swollen, so yeah, it feels kind of like chafing, if anything. It's not chafed, but it feels like chafing. It's that kind of feeling. Otherwise, in terms of pain, my arm is really okay. I don't like the feeling when I have to wash it in the shower. Like, it's numb and it feels uncomfortable, but it's not pain as in itself. But I have some stiffness, so right now I'm kind of forcing my hand back this way. But this is kind of as far as it goes. Swelling, you can see it's really not bad. It puffs up a little here around the knuckles, but you can see like I have some definition in the knuckles, so that's how I know that the swelling is pretty okay. So a little bit of stiffness there, but nothing that's not manageable. And my leg is uncomfortable because it's so itchy. It's not painful, but once I let it dry out, like after my shower, I have to air dry for an hour before I do my arm dressing, before I do anything on my leg. So during that hour, it gets so dry that once I move it, it feels like the skin is like cracking apart, kind of. So that's a little bit uncomfortable, but not painful. But the itching is uncomfortable for sure. It's at a stage right now where it looks like a really bad sunburn, and it's starting to peel. At this point, I'm putting vitamin E cream on top of it, and that's it. Everything is closed and dry, so there's no need to put any dressing. So it's just the vitamin E cream. In terms of my phallus, everything is really good. I don't have any sensation there, so there's not a problem in terms of pain. Like I said, the only pain is the scrotum, which is swollen and a little bit irritated. My leg is itching. It takes everything to not scratch the leg graft. Everything. So in my last update, I said that everything was going perfectly. I didn't have any complications. Unfortunately, the day before yesterday, I discovered a complication the day before yesterday. Basically, there's an area behind my scrotum, kind of tucked underneath the back of the scrotum, where I have quite a large fistula, about 2 centimeters almost, of an opening. So you can actually see the catheter tube through my urethra. So the fistula goes all the way from the back of the scrotum into the urethra. So that was a pretty big bummer. Everything was going exactly perfectly, and then I discovered that fistula, so that's a big bummer. Yesterday was exactly 3 weeks post-op, so I was supposed to be getting my stitches out and my catheter out. Unfortunately, because of the fistula, I have to keep the catheter in minimum 1 more week, and then we'll reevaluate next week what things are looking at. But essentially, I have to keep the catheter in until the fistula is closed. So that sucks. I was really looking forward to getting the catheter out. I tolerate the catheter relatively well, but it's for sure uncomfortable. Like, I don't have a lot of people tend to get like bladder spasms and have a lot of discomfort. I find it uncomfortable, but it's totally manageable. I don't have to take the oxybutynin for the bladder spasms, so relatively it's well tolerated. It's just sucks that I couldn't get it out. But yesterday I did see my GP to have my stitches out. So the stitches along the shaft and along the base of the phallus. So those are out. Doesn't make a huge difference. It's less picky because those black stitches are quite sharp. So a little bit of relief in that regard, but the big thing yesterday would have been to get the catheter out, but alas. So despite the fact that the fistula is quite large, like, and you can see all the way to the catheter, I emailed Montreal's post-op clinic, and they forwarded my images to my surgeon. So Dr. Belanger had a look at it, and the team decided that it didn't need any stitches to heal additionally, despite the fact that it's quite a large opening. So at this point, it's really just to air dry as much as possible and to wait and hope that it closes on its own. So that'll be reevaluated next week to see where it's at. So the day I discovered the fistula was not my best day. Probably the crappiest day of recovery so far, because it just kind of snuck up on me. You know, you have a kind of a feeling when you get past those initial couple weeks that you're in the clear, but obviously that didn't happen. Otherwise, with regards to complications, not so much of a complication, but I knew that the little section of the rim of the head, the glands, was necrotic, so it never took after the surgery. So even right after the surgery, you could tell that it wasn't going to take. That piece finally fell off, so I'm actually okay with how it looks. There's still quite a good definition around the head, so I think it'll still look fine. Probably won't even be necessary to do a revision, but I'll have to see once everything is like more healed. But it looks pretty good. The swelling around the scrotum has gone down a fair bit. It's still swollen, and I have some sensation, some patchy sensation along my scrotum. But yeah, as the swelling's gone down, it's gotten more comfortable. So in terms of my arm's healing, obviously it's covered, so I'm not going to show it today, but I'll put in some images of how the arm looks. All in all, it looks really good. I have one kind of problem spot. Like, I've got a couple of spots like along the edges of the graft where it's more scabby and more open slightly, but it's healing as well as it should. There's no signs of infection or anything. There's one spot though along the kind of the middle of the graft here, like along the tendons, where it had bubbled, so it was like collecting lymph, and then now the skin has started to kind of peel off, so it's a little bit more not sensitive, but the skin is a little bit more raw underneath there where the skin is peeling up, where it had been collecting lymph. But all in all, it looks really good. My GP saw the arm as well, and she thought it looked great. And the Montreal team also thought it looked really good. So the arm is going well. The strength is also coming back. So I've regained a lot of dexterity, so I can do this no problem. I can grip things pretty easily. The strength is returning, so I'm not overdoing it. You're not supposed to do anything that causes you pain. But if anything, I just feel a little bit of tightness. There's no pain in my arm. So I think the recovery of my arm is going really well, and I'm happy with that. The only thing is my wrist kind of dips a little bit. It looks a lot more exaggerated with the bandage on, because here's where the bandage starts underneath, but it does, the wrist does go a little bit inward like that. It's hard to straighten it, but it's pretty minimal. So mentally, I'm feeling pretty good. Before 2 days ago, before I discovered my fistula, it was going really good. I've been a little bit like lower because I don't have any activity. You know, usually I'm quite a sporty person, so I like to go for hikes, I like to play hockey, so I don't have any of my usual kind of activities that I'm doing. And I can't really like play with my dog in the same way. Like, I've been bringing him for really short walks, but that's it. So I've definitely noticed like I'm feeling pretty lethargic. So that hasn't been helped by my complication. Obviously, it was a big bummer to find out that I wasn't getting my catheter out right away, to find out that I had the fistula, so I'm worried about that. I've been reassured by the surgery center and by my GP, but depending how things heal, I could have the catheter in for quite a while. And if it doesn't heal, I might need a revision, so that's kind of a bummer. So yeah, feeling good, but a little bit like lethargic and just kind of bleh. But all in all, kind of better than I was expecting to feel, so not too bad. I actually drove for the first time today, so I drive a standard car, so I needed to make sure that my left arm was able to do like some basic turning and be able to hold the wheel confidently while I shift. So it actually went really, really well. I wouldn't drive solely with my left hand, like doing the turns and everything on the wheel was difficult. But it totally doable to drive just like while I'm shifting, to use that hand, and then to use both hands. It was totally doable. So that's good news. Have a little bit of independence theoretically. Either way, I need to be resting and air drying, so I shouldn't be driving much, but it's good to know that I can if I need to. So I think that about covers it for this week's update. I think I'll try to update next week on my 4 weeks post-op, just to kind of follow up on the fistula situation and see what's happening with the catheter. As of right now, I'm still going to be staying with my mom just because I need to take it as easy as possible so that I don't irritate this fistula, and so that it can really heal. So I'm staying here for a little bit longer. I was kind of hoping to get back to my place once I could drive and once I could be a little bit more independent. So with my arm, I was feeling kind of confident about that, but I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to play it safe and kind of stay a little bit longer. Yeah, I think that does it for this week. I will check in next week and we'll go from there. Bye.